Now, hi, my name's Vanessa Wallace, and I am the founder of Crystal Clear Coaching and Crystal Clear Retreats. And I'm here today with Helen, who's really kindly offered to share some of her experience with us, and specifically around anxiety and depression. And so I'm just here today with her. I'm going to ask her a few questions. We're going to have a little bit of a chat, probably quite informal. But just, I want to thank you, Helen, for, offering to do this today. And, I know how difficult it is to come onto kind of live video. So well done for that. And thank you. So do you want to start, Helen, by just introducing yourself a little bit to whoever's listening to this?
Yeah, sure. So, I'm 37. I'm married to a good man, and he supports me in the best way that he knows how, usually laughing. I've got a son who's 5 years old. He also actually is suffering quite badly with anxiety, so I'm now using what I know to try and help him and get more help. I have quite a few interests. My main one is crafting, which I don't know if you can see in the background. There is actually to that side my crafting area, and I'm sat at my desk. I do all sorts of crafting, knitting and drawing and paper craft. I like to just dabble in anything really. I also have a lot of interest in health and the body and how it works, and anxiety, depression. I think because of what I've been through as well, so it all kind of intrigues me and interests me and also because now also I'm obviously trying to help my son. So
okay, thank you very much. Okay, so could you tell me a little bit about your story with anxiety and depression, and when it first started? How has it impacted you over the years, and maybe a little bit about how it impacts you today?
yeah, I've made some notes so that I can try and keep it together for you. I started with panic attacks as a teenager, and actually looking back, I was actually quite depressed as well, but I didn't know at the time. And I was actually diagnosed with depression and given tablets at the age of 20, because I was actually feeling quite suicidal at the time. I didn't do anything, but the thought was there. So the doctor only would give me a few tablets, and I had to keep going back at the time. Then a lot of things has happened to me between then and now. I was diagnosed with endometriosis at 25. I was diagnosed with ME at 27. I had IVF at 30 that didn't work because we were told we couldn't have children. Then at 31, I fell pregnant, and everything kind of, all the depression and panic attacks, and I am assuming anxiety will have been there, I just didn't know, went away. And being pregnant with me, I just was fantastic. I had my son at 32. I got pregnant again, but miscarried at 33, and that's when it all kind of fell apart. And what I didn't realize at the time was anxiety. So I was diagnosed with actually quite bad anxiety at 34. And then at 36, I've been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. So there's been a lot happen that I guess has started the anxiety, and I didn't even know what was going on. I felt like I was having a panic attack. It would, like, I knew panic attacks. I could breathe them away, but the anxiety was like, didn't matter what I did. It was there. It was the overwhelming sense of sort of suffocation and drowning, and it would come on. I would be just getting dressed, and I can remember ringing my husband, and I would say, I can't make this go away. What do I do? I don't understand what it is. And it was. I realised also that I was losing my patience very quickly with my family, with my son, and getting very angry. I was very, very angry about everything. And that wasn't me. And I thought, this isn't me. What is going on with me? So it was impacting me very emotionally. And because I thought I always had a sense of knowing what I was doing, and I just didn't feel like I did anymore. And that I was just I wasn't any good for my family anymore. So again, sort of suicidal thoughts were beginning to arise again, and depression was really setting in again. So I kind of had to try, and I realised that I needed some help. And the feeling of the anxiety, for sort of people that maybe aren't aware, is you get very lonely, even though you have your family and everything. I'm very lonely, but I didn't want to socialise. If I did socialise, I was the quiet one in the corner. If I was talking, I felt like I wasn't interesting, or maybe they were laughing at me, or, you know, it was very judgment feelings, you know, either judging me. I did not feel worthy of the love that my husband and my son give me, and I'm trying not to get emotional. Everything kind of just felt pointless. And like I said, the anger, and it was frustrating. I didn't understand what was going on with me. And I could feel it physically, but I didn't realise I was feeling it physically. It was all here, and it kind of rises up, and then it became more the panic attack feeling side of it. And I could physically, actually, I would shake and feel nauseous. I felt nauseous a lot. An uncontrollable crying. I would just cry and cry and cry, and I couldn't stop. And then I was also starting to get horrible sort of thoughts and worrying thoughts. If I wasn't around people, like, have they had a car crash? You know, has my son been abducted? You know, it just ridiculous thoughts that you know you can make sense of, but it wasn't making sense in my head, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. And wow, what a journey, and how it's impacted so many areas in your life. You know, your thoughts, your relationship with your partner, you know, social situations, you know, that really stuck out for me, sort of being, you know, the person kind of in the corner, not really kind of feeling able to interact with other people. So thank you so much for sharing that. That was really clear, you know, really kind of to the point. So what help have you felt you needed, and did you manage to get any of that help?
I did. It took me a while to realise it, because I was zooming about, thinking, you know, doing your normal life, full speed, trying to be positive for Murphy and for Andy, and, you know, and not dealing with everything that has happened and all the feelings I was having. I wasn't dealing with them. I was like, no, I'm being positive. I can do this. You know, I'm going to soldier on. And I was like, no, I actually need some help, because I completely fell apart. So I told, originally I went to tell her, well, I was helping myself to begin with, reading things, listening to things, but realised that I needed more help than just that. So I went, and basically I didn't ask the GP. I told the GP, I need help. What can you do for me? What are my options? I did ask to be referred back to the fatigue clinic, because it all impacted on my ME, which made me very tired all the time. So that I knew I needed help from that respect. And the doctor said, you know, what kind of other help do you want? You know, you can go down like the CBT, IL counselling, and they put me in touch with, I can't remember what it was called now, the people that they ring you and basically talk through what kind of help you need. And it was decided that counselling was probably the best option for me, because I did feel like I needed to talk to people. However, the NHS, had to wait a long time, so I started, and I found a counsellor in Selby, where I live, and paid to see her every week, or every couple of weeks, depending on how I was feeling. She was quite flexible for me. And I was, because of my crafting, I was journaling. So I did a lot of journaling and about how I felt at the time, how things that were cropping up from the past that I hadn't even thought about for a while. And a lot of it was, it all came from the miscarriage, and I didn't deal with that at all. So the work that I did with the paid counsellor was very much based around that, me accepting the fact that I felt that I was cheating by saying that I had a miscarriage, because I miscarried at 11 weeks, but my baby wasn't 11 weeks. But I couldn't say my baby, because I didn't feel like it was my baby, even though it was only 4 to 5 weeks old, and it was tiny, tiny, tiny. But to me, I was pregnant. It was going to be my baby, and that took some accepting. So I got help with that through the private counselling sessions. Then when I had my NHS sessions, she actually, rather than me sort of just talking about what's going on in my journaling, she actually asked me questions. So that was based about the past and family, and so a lot of issues that I didn't realise I'd kind of held about family and things all came up. And then I got more self-help, doing more journaling and crafting, and I listened to Audible a lot. And I guess through that, because Facebook and things pick up on what you are interested in, your retreat came up just randomly, and of course I read it and I thought, oh, quite fancy that, and that led us onto the journey of me meeting you, and getting the help from going to your retreat. So and then meeting you, I've done one-to-ones with you and your mindfulness course recently as well. So
yeah,
a lot of help.
and
a lot of help.
Fantastic. And yeah, but it's been a journey for you, hasn't it? It started with the one-to-one counselling, and then you moved on to the NHS, which provided a different type of counselling.
Yeah.
And then you've been reading books as well, and the self-help books. But then we ended up meeting, and you came along to my retreats. In terms of the retreat, because I know we had a lot of conversations prior to you coming onto the retreat, and we spoke about your anxiety. And I mean, how was it for you to actually come onto the retreat? Did you get the support that you needed with that? Because something that's come up for me is it's quite difficult for people to take that, especially if you're suffering with anxiety, to take that leap into doing something of that extent to help you. So maybe if you could just talk through that process of actually coming along to join us on that, and how that was for you.
Yeah, when I initially saw it, I read it and thought, oh, that would be perfect for me. But I looked at the date of when it was, which was like just before school starting, and how far away it was, and I thought, oh my God, I don't know if I could ever manage that. But at the same time, to me, it was like one of those meant to be fate things, if people believe in that. I do personally, because I was at the stage where I needed that next part of my journey. I needed to go that bit further, not just in the miles as well. And I talked about it with my husband, and I had lots of conversations with you, and it was really great because you weren't just messaging me, from afar. You offered to call me, so I got to know you on the phone, which made me feel at ease. My husband was like, yeah, go for it, you need it, it's going to do you some good, you do it. So between your help and my husband's help and me doing my research, I managed to look at the weekend sort of as a whole, and work out how best that I could to do it for me, so that I wouldn't get anxious, or as not as anxious. So for me, it was getting there, and also with my ME, and I get tired very quickly, to plan it out a lot. So for me, I knew I needed to come down earlier, so that I would stop the night before to be able to be at the retreat sort of fresh on the day. And again, coming home, I knew after the retreat I would be tired, it would be emotional, that I would need that time and space to be able to come home again. So for me, the what's the word I'm looking for? The staying there part, I needed the extra time. And then the traveling part for me was because I get anxious about, not about driving, I enjoy driving, I get anxious about going the wrong way and losing my way. So for me, it was setting off really early, knowing where I was going, looking it up on Google. I had the sat nav, but I don't have much faith in my sat nav. So again, it was just having the backup of knowing that I knew where I was going, as well as the sat nav telling me where I was going. And then I planned stops as well, so I knew what service station I was going to stop at, roughly when I would stop there, so my husband knew when I would call. I knew that if he knew I was okay and I knew they were okay, then that side of it would be calmer. So it was a lot of planning, I would say. But between the planning, my husband sort of really, you go for it and I'll help you with it. And your side of it with, knowing that you were going to be at the other end and I'd already talked to you and you had done everything you possibly can from your side of it to help me get there. It was, it made it a lot easier. And I remember when I first got in the car, driving off from the house, I was talking to myself. I'm driving along going, I can do this. You can do this. You can do this. And I'm talking away to myself with the music on. I had music ready. I just, planning. I did lots of planning and it helped.
Yeah. Wow. Well done. And I knew some of that anyway, but to hear that in depth as your whole experience and each kind of intricate part that you had to plan out. But that's a great, sort of suggestion for somebody who is in your position, who would like to, attend the retreat, and maybe they are anxious about the traveling and, the whole organizing of that. So some great tips there, Helen. And it is so great that you...
Sorry.
It was just great. God.
I say it's just taking everything one step at a time. That's what I said to my son. Yeah. One step at a time.
Absolutely. And just keeping that calm going throughout. And it's so good as well that your husband was so supportive of you, because, I don't think, it's always the same for everybody. And, yeah, so it's so good that you had that support there in place for you. So was there anything in particular that made a difference for you in your whole journey of all the support that you've received?
I've made some notes here because actually I feel I've taken little bits from every part of my journey that come together as a whole now for me. So a few years ago, I actually joined Forever Living, and it was part of their training is self-development, and that was what got me onto the journey of the self-development and looking at myself. And I think that's how, when I realised that I needed the help that I needed, because otherwise I'd have just kept plodding on and going. And that's what got me onto audible books. And there's some of the favourite ones that I've listened to have been Rewire Your Anxious Brain, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Making the Shift, and his also Changing Your Thoughts, Change Your Feelings, which I've listened to more than once. And because of the anxiety, I hadn't been able to read books anymore, and I love reading. And Audible it became my life. It helps me to go to sleep. It helps me to just be calm when I can't necessarily meditate because I'm too wired. It helps me to be more mindful. So I've taken a lot from that, from my self-care. Then with Penny, it was the coming to terms with my miscarriage. So I feel that I've kind of put that to bed, if you like, and can say I lost my baby and be okay with that. The NHS side was we talked about family and things, but also the thing that I most got from her was that being okay with now, and that what I have now is enough. Anything more is a bonus. And that's really what I got from that, is that I don't have to strive to be going forwards all the time. I can be okay with what I have now. So that I got that from that. The fatigue clinic, she helped me to sort of look at how everything has a knock-on effect with the anxiety and what's going on in my body with various parts of your body, and how the fight and flight, and how that is affecting my ME, how it affects the anxiety and the vicious circle. So that gave me an insight as to what's happening inside here to understand it. Then the retreat was, I found my independence again from going so far and leaving my family for, like, was it 3 nights I was away? And I'd not done that before. I hadn't even gone that far away from them before. And I hadn't done anything sort of that big in such a long time. And the one thing that I came away with was this feeling of independence that I'd got from being able to do that, and finding sort of the inner me again, and light at the end of the tunnel, because through your retreat I found, through meditations and things that we did within the retreat, I could see, we did a future one, and I could see a future. I couldn't just see darkness anymore. It was future. And it strengthened my hope in that future. And also that I didn't feel alone anymore because of you and the people I met on the retreat. Our one-to-one sessions, the thing that I've got down is that you help me to keep things simple. So when we've talked, and I'm like, oh, this and this and this, and you're very good at telling me, well, just do this. And I'm like, oh yeah, of course. And it seems so simple, but I don't make it simple because I have this tendency with the anxiety to overcomplicate everything. And then the mindfulness course that I did recently with you is, what should I do now? Remember to breathe. Remembering to breathe, taking time out, not feeling guilty about my time that I need, and the joy that you can get from stopping, taking a breath, seeing things from a different perspective, and making better habits, because I don't do it as much as I should, but I do a lot more than I did before, and I handle things a lot better than I did before.
Yeah. And yeah, how wonderful is that? And there's lots of little snippets there of you know, what you got from each experience that you had, and each bit of help and support that you had. And you know, just to hear you say that, you know, you could see a future, I mean, that warms my heart, you know, to just, because it is a very dark place, you know, struggling with difficulties like this. And yeah, to see some hope, but also to feel connection with other people, and you know, to not feel alone with that, you know, that I think that's massive. And you know, I recognize that too, you know, with myself. And you know, I did a video yesterday about my own experience, and for me, you know, it was finding other people who kind of experience what I experienced but help me. So thank you. So how is life? Oh, if you were giving anyone advice who was watching this as to what to do if they were suffering with anxiety, what would you say to them?
To realise that you aren't alone. There are so many people out there that feel the same, and to go and ask for help, because that is one of the things as well. It's very difficult to ask for help. I'm not very good at asking for help. But you do need to ask for help, and I think you can't. I tried to go it alone. I thought I could do it alone with just the self-care, and it helps, don't get me wrong, it's been part of my journey, but you need more than that. I think you need things like seeing a counsellor, or one-to-one sessions with someone like yourself, or going to somewhere like a retreat. But as I found with my journey, you need to do them kind of almost in the right order. I wouldn't have been able to do the retreat had it been the year before, probably. So like I said, it came at the right time. So I think people, if someone's suffering like I have, and you just have that overwhelming feeling, go and talk to somebody, talk to your GP, or look online, because I found my counsellor online that I paid for, and I came across you online on Facebook. So there is lots of people out there that you can go and talk to, and just go do it, because it's worth it. And I'm by no means better, but I am so much better than I was, and I couldn't have done that without all of the help that I've found.
Yeah, it's a great message there of just, you know, go and look for some help and break through that barrier that, you know, we can have to actually asking for help, and, you know, going out there and actually, and just take it, because that's quite a risk, you know, to actually ask for help. But as you said so clearly, you know, you need to ask for help. You know, you need to kind of break through that in a way, and you discovered that for yourself, and actually that's been, you know, amazing for you, actually getting the help and you know, getting the support that you needed. So how is life for you today, Helen?
It's difficult. It's always difficult. There's always something. But I think I cope with it a lot better than I did, or would have done in the past. I think I look at things now differently. Try to take that step back and try not to overcomplicate it. I think it helps for me because I spend every day repeating myself these things to my son, so I can't really say them to him and not doing myself. Yeah, so it's difficult but manageable.
Okay, and yeah, thanks for that. And yeah, a lot of the time it's about managing, isn't it, and coping with, you know, when we have anxiety and depression, and you know, keeping that going, and you know, sort of working from day to day with that. I mean, I know I've, you know, in the 6 months I've been working with you, you know, I've seen a big change in you, and it's been really great to see that, and you know, to chat with you over the months, and you know, everything that you've had to kind of face and you know, cope with, and how, and just watching you go through that and do that, and you know, live that on a daily basis. Okay, so thank you so much for doing this today, Helen. Is there anything you'd like to just say before we finish up? Any sort of final words?
Just thank you to you as well, really, for everything that you've done for me. It's I'm definitely better equipped now to handle every day because of everything you've helped me with, and not feeling alone. I think that's the big thing.
Yeah,
The people do not feel alone.
yeah, I think that's a great thing to finish on, is, you know, that you don't have to be alone with this. Okay, so thank you very much, Helen, and we will speak again soon, and take care.